Hey guys, so on this video I'm gonna show you how I dealt 27 million damage on this character. So first off, stat wise, I have a 1-1 ratio on ferocity and toughness, but as you can see here, I have my toughness at almost 1k. It's because of my items here, which has a lot of toughness on every item except for my boots. So the reason why I have a lot of toughness on my character is because I want to have a lot of HP to compensate on my lack of resistance. Because since I'm not using a shield build for this character, since I'm using a two-handed battle axe to have more DPS, so I opted to have more HP rather than having more resistance. By doing that, I have this average damage here. I had more damage here from before, about the 23, 25k, but I had lesser HP with that one, and it was kind of hard surviving on the endgame expedition at 187. So I had my damage reduced to 19k, that way I'll have more HP. And before I had about 50 crit chance, but now I only had about 29 because I sacrificed those crit chances to have more ailment chances here, because you would want to have about 1500 ailment chance score. That way you'll be inflicting a lot of ailments because our damage comes from those ailments, which I will explain to you in a few minutes. So in here, I'll explain to you first the skills that we have. So our main damage dealer is Bleeding Edge, obviously, because the good thing about this one, even though it'll have a nerf soon on patch 1.05 and 1.06, but since it's still not yet patched, we'll have to make use of this build here because the developers are not that good in math. That's what they posted on their Twitter. So yeah, that's why Bleeding Edge and Ailment build is so good. It's because of this point modifier here for the skill, which increases damage per ailment stack. Now the reason why we want to have a lot of ailment chances on this build, a lot of damage here from our accessories. We have frost damage, lightning damage, we have fire, lightning, toxic, so different kinds of ailments on our weapons accessories. For example, this one here, on my weapon I have physical, frost, lightning. So the reason why we wanna have a lot of types of elemental, material, and occult uh, type of damage here is because we want to have because we want to inflict a lot of ailments each time we use a skill. So on this build, our Bleeding Edge, for my original skill, I have the convert my physical damage to fire damage. That way I'll have an ailment here, so that whenever I use the skill, I'll be able to inflict an ailment, which is a high chance of 53 because of my, again, I showed you earlier on my items. On this skill here, I have the freeze chance, the burn chance, so that's already two ailments. And then I duplicated the skill, that way this one will have the shock ailment and the bleeding ailment, so that will give us a ailment of 4. And okay, so my game crashed, so now I'm back. So again, if you have the trial belt, which gives you a 100% chance to apply Mark of Impurity, that's a curse ailment, so that's already 5 stacks. And if you don't have this one, that's okay, because you can then use this one here, Blood for Blood. Just gives you more chance to burn and shock. So this one here, so if you don't have the trial belt, so you still have the skill here, which gives you a stasis element, which is a 100% chance. And with this skill, you can basically spam this one, because the point distribution that I had for the skill reduces the cooldown, which can basically lets you spam it. And then if you don't have the Mark of Impurity, because if you did have that one, so you already have like 6 ailments, which is about usually what I see as the maximum. But if you don't have that one, that's okay, because you have the Wings of Ishmir, which gives you a stun ailment and a weakness ailment. Oh, and also, um, On our Gate of Fates here, we have this node here which applies weakness whenever you block. So there's really no problem reaching 6 ailments whenever you hit an enemy. So for the skills, I think we're done with that one. So now we go to our Gate of Fates. So on this build here, I had it set up to get these soldier nodes, and I got this 60% hit chance score. It's because I want to do at least a decent amount of crits because I want to clear the waves faster. Some people don't get this one because in here I will explain to you how people are reaching 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. Their highest damage dealt when they do Untainted is because if you have low crit and then if you have your bleeding edge keep on spinning and then hitting that enemy and stacking a lot of ailments on that enemy, whenever that enemy has like 30 stacks total, and then you also have the buffs from this node here, which gives you, if you've killed some enemies, surrounding enemies on that enemy, and you already have like a total of 30 stacks as well, and that's 30 stacks times 5, so that's like 150 increase in damage, and then plus from your bleeding edge, which gives you increased damage per ailment stack on that enemy, and then if that enemy has a lot of stacks and you already have the buff for those stacks that you get from this node, that is where you're dealing damage, and that's the reason why people don't really build a crit chance build. It's because they want to apply a lot of stacks on that enemy to attain the highest damage dealt that they can do. But if you want a faster clear and don't really mind about the highest damage dealt that you've made, as long as you're averaging 4, 5 to 10 million damage, then that's okay. You can get this one so that you'll clear the waves faster. And then in here, you'll be wanting to get the Kabbalist nodes, because again, this one is very important because whenever you kill an enemy, a maximum of 5 stacks on that enemy, you get an additional of an easy 25% damage. And then you also want to get this one here because these nodes are very important so that you can increase your max stack ailments. Then this one here, this one is also very important because whenever you hit an enemy, instead of just stacking up one ailment on that enemy, it gives you 2 stacks on that enemy. So whenever your bleeding edge spins and hit that enemy once, instead of applying 1 stack, it gives you automatically 2 stacks. And with this node here, with a 50% chance, and this additional nodes, which is 25, 25, a 100% chance to instead give you 2 stacks, it will automatically give you 4 stacks instantly, and that will easily boost your DPS faster. And then here, whenever you hit an enemy with this node here, instead of applying 1, you will apply instantly 2 ailments on that enemy. So for example, if your bleeding edge has the burning ailment plus the shock ailment, so instead of just applying 1 of each of that one, you will automatically apply 2, which will increase then your damage on your bleeding edge, and when that enemy dies, you can easily get this damage here. So if you do the math, it's a very good DPS and easy wave clear. And then in here, you'll be wanting to get this node because on the higher expeditions, most of the enemies are grouped up by a lot. So you wanna get this one here because it gives you 4% damage for each nearby enemy. And then since you also have this one here, the skill Tracker's Reach, which pulls the enemy in front of you, it will easily give you a lot of damage bonus whenever there's enemy around you. And this one here, I haven't gotten this one because I already have lifesteal from my weapons and accessories, and but I'll be getting this one as well because it helps. The more lifesteal you have, the more survivability you'll have. And this one here, this one, we have a lot of rage point. It's because of this node here and then this nodes here. So usually you only have about 750, but then with those nodes that I got, I have about 1550. This one, it gives you a little bit of damage, but this is not the most important. But this one here, because every time you kill an enemy, you generate 35 rage, which is very important because you want to keep that rage high for this node here. This node is very important because whenever you use your skill and when you have over 750 rage, it doubles your damage, which is very good. Very, very good. This one converts your willpower, it will generate rage instead. And then you want to have this one as well because it's an easy 25% damage increase whenever you froze, stun, or apply stasis to an enemy, which again, for our Traverse Reach, can easily apply stasis on that enemy 100%. And for our Wings of Ishmir, that's also a stun, so that's a very good node to get. And in here, I got this node because since we can easily apply Burn Ailment on an enemy, so it says here, when hitting an enemy with an attack, 10% chance to consume the burn stacks you inflicted when their burn stacks exceeds 5. So we apply an ailment, and since we have the burn ailment from our original bleeding edge skill here, because of this one, which converts our physical to damage. As you can see, we have 53% chance to burn. So with this one, you can apply 5 stacks of burn to that enemy. So with getting this node, we have the 10% chance to consume that burn stack. That way, that enemy burns, and then it will increase our damage by 10% per consumed stack. So if they have like 5 stacks on them, and then we consume that burn stack, so we have an additional 50% damage on that enemy. And then after that, you can then apply the burn again. So if you add that up, it really gives you a huge DPS. And this one here is also important, that way you won't have to really apply that burn because it just spreads to the surrounding enemies. And this one here, again, as I explained to you earlier, you want to get to have a lot of rage. And here we want to get these 2 nodes here so that it will give us more ailment stacks, so that by combining, we have a default of 10, and then plus 5 5, and then 5 5 here, so that's already a max stack of 30, as you can see here, which is very important. And then after that, we want to also get this node here, the Dire Juncture, because this is a lifesaver, because there's a lot of enemies that can easily one-shot you, but instead of one-shotting you, you'll have about 1 second to react. Either you use your skill to life leech, or you use a potion to heal yourself, that way you won't die. And then this one here is also a nice node to get, because since you're applying stasis with your Tracker's Reach, with this one here, that way you'll be applying 100% of that hit damage after 1.5 seconds. And this one here is also very important, because you want to apply the nodes here, because these 2 nodes here, the Sacred Oath and the Fate of the Kingless, it gives the attacking enemies, whenever you block, a total of 3 weakness stacks on them. So that will build up your ailment stacks for your DPS. So the reason why this is important, because since we are not using a shield, that way we can still block enemies even though we are using a 2-handed battle axe or great sword, or whatever weapon you use, you'll have the chance to block the enemies. So this one here, for these nodes here, I also got this one, and I'm planning on getting this one when I reach level 80, because it will just give you more chance to apply your ailments. So this one's for the material, elemental, occult, and this one is also important because it gives you 60 status ailment chance score for all your ailments. And this one is also important because you want to have a lot of crit, so it doubles up your crit, so that's very good. And this one here, extension nodes here, I just got this one because again, it's 12% status element score, 12%, 12%. So those are very small add-ups that are very good. And that's about it for my Gate of Fates. Now for my items, again, you want to get a lot of flat damages. My weapon already has Frost Lightning, so I just put red to it. That way, since we're using Bleeding Edge, We'll have more damage on our bleed ailment. For accessories, just get any damage that's added to your attacks. So I have frost lightning here, I have fire lightning here, I have toxic here. For our equipment, defensive equipment, we have the belt. I have this one because again, Mark of Impurity is very OP. Here we have transfer time reduction. You will want to have transfer time reduction, toughness for survivability, and you also want to have resistance, health. Either you can have bruiser or the heavy armor here, and in here you want to have toughness here. So heavy has toughness, resistance. This one is not that good. I need to change the agility to toughness somehow. And then again, since I want to have a faster clear time, so I got the critical chance on here. And then here, toughness, and then status ailment chance. So again, you want to apply that ailment, and then here, survivability, here as well, and then here, and then another status ailment here. And this one is very nice because I have the one ailment stack inflicted. So again, faster stacking on your ailments equals more damage for you. And that's about it. And then now I will show you an example on the damage boost by getting a lot of stacks and then putting that one as your buff due to this immortal offering. So we'll go to the ascended. And then as you can see here, easily I have 6 ailments already with 5 stacks on them, and then I'm reaching 48, 50k damage. So that is where you're getting your damage from. Oopsie. Lag. Yep. So yeah. And now I will show you a clip on me doing the 187 Untainted Expedition, which I made a 27 million highest damage dealt. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoy and you find my guide useful, and I'll see you on my next guide.
Warriors around, don't get caught in the mosh pit. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Throw down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my visuals. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we notorious, we ain't no runners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we some warriors, they ain't caught gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Fucking bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Put on my strap, put on the beam, put on the map, put on my team. Take out every motherfucker in between. Know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rap, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang, I'm by their chains for the fame. Never thought I would it, now I'm running this. You don't wanna follow me, no motherfucking front of this. I ran in the jungle with the troops, trying to get it what it does. Battling and I ain't never lose, we some motherfucking warriors. Cover the map and still ain't know where you can find me at. Journey through the mind of an insomniac. I ain't never sleep, staying ready, keep an eye out for the fakes. For the snakes, load a clip and I'ma pull it, something shakes. Never go to battle if you plan to lose. Life a game of chess, you gotta plan the moves. Middle fingers up, I'm not a fan of rules. Fighting for the right to live in peace and not like animals.
Bloods in my hands, got swords in my gunners. You'll be notorious, we ain't no runners. Bloods in my hands, got swords in my gunners. These warriors, they ain't no gunners. Bloods in my hands, got swords in my gunners. Bloods in my hands, got swords in my gunners.
Put on my strap, put on the beam, put on the map, put on my team. Take out every motherfucker in between. Know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rap, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang, I'm by their chains for the fame. Never thought I would it, now I'm running.